So right now we are inside my Chevy Traxx, and I have the window covers in that I made, and it's completely dark in here.
So this is going to be a video tutorial on how I created my own custom car window coverings so that I can turn my 2016 Chevy Traxx into a mini compact stealth camper. So to start, I had some old sketch paper that I had from an art class that I took a long time ago, and I taped two pieces together to make it wide enough to fit across the windows. Basically here, what I did is I rolled up some tape to create a double-sided bond that I can tack the paper up onto the window so that I don't have to hold and trace at the same time. And here you'll see I'm basically tracing the inner boundary of the window. You want to make sure you're getting those corners really good because it can be really tricky when the paper starts to bunch up. For the back window, since it's symmetrical, I only end up tracing half of it. And this is because I wanted it to be identical on both sides. So I measured the entire width of the window, and then I cut that in half to find the midpoint. And then I marked the midpoint on my template. Then I took the template and I folded it in half. I found a sharp pin, or needle in this case, and I basically poked holes along where I trace the window. I did this because I wanted to transfer that trace line to the other side of the paper and trace it so that I can get a symmetrical template of the entire window. After tracing both driver's side windows and both passenger side windows along with the back rear window, I took those templates and I cut them out of the paper and transferred them onto a large piece of cardboard. Then I cut those out to create the base of my window coverings. So once I got all my cardboard pieces cut out, I'm basically going to adhere these Dollar Tree sunshades to one side. I bought 6 of these, but I ended up needing 7 because I'm using 2 for the front windshield. On the other side of the cardboard, I'm going to black it out with this black duct tape. I ended up using this heavy-duty spray adhesive by Gorilla to adhere the sunshade to the cardboard. You don't really need heavy-duty adhesive. The material is actually pretty flimsy, but this is what I had on hand. And if you see here, I've already applied the black duct tape to the one side, and I just basically did it horizontally like so. Now my tracing job wasn't exactly perfect. There are about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch gaps in some parts of the coverings. So to combat that, I'm basically going to make this extra flap of the duct tape on the border so that I can tuck those into those gaps. I just took a piece of the duct tape and I created strips. If you see here, there's going to be the straight edge and then the rough edge where you ripped it. I like to use the straight edge on the reflective side because it's more visible and it looks neater. So I'm applying it about 1/8 of an inch along the border. I don't want it to be too high up because I want to create that flap. And then where the border starts to curve, I just clip the tape there with the scissors. And then on the reverse side, I take the other edge of that strip of tape and I just tack it up about 1/8 of an inch also. Then I run my fingernail along it to define that flap even more. And because I'm a Libra rising and I like things to look pretty, I just trim any rough edges to smooth it out. So for the corners, I basically work in sections. I just take little strips of the tape and I overlap them to create an even curve around the border. Then on the other side, I'll work piece by piece, notching that convex curve and just overlapping them like so. And then of course trimming to make it look smooth. And this is what it looks like in the end. Reflective side and blacked out side. Now you don't have to do this, I just wanted to because I don't want the two sides flapping around when they're being stored. So I took this Velcro and I basically cut it into 4-inch strips and then cut those into about 1 inch long. Then I took the piece and I adhered it to the black part of the border on each side, pressed to bond the glue, and then you have a little Velcro piece that keeps the two sides together. So for the front windshield covering, I didn't trace out a cardboard template. The car shades that I found at the Dollar Tree were perfectly wide. They just weren't perfectly tall enough for my vehicle. So I'm taking 2 and I'm stacking them on top of each other to the tallest point of my windshield. Then I'm taking these sewing pins and I'm tacking them down so they don't shift. I take the Gorilla Glue and then I adhere the 2 pieces together where they meet. I'm removing these elastic straps that are used to hold the sunshade together when it's folded up, and I'm going to reposition them. So these little holes are for suction cups that come with the sunshades and they stick to your window. I didn't want to use them because I'm going to use Velcro instead. So I trimmed off some of the material that's not going to be seen and I used it to cover that little hole. Here I'm just applying some crazy glue around that metal piece and then applying the material. And then I'm securing it with some black duct tape. Then I'm taking those elastic pieces that I saved from the original construction and I'm tacking them here at the bottom of the sunshade. And this is how it looks when it's all folded up. I could just remove these elastic straps, unfold the sunshade, and then when I'm done using it and I need to store it away, I just fold it up and put the straps back around it.
So right now we're in my Chevy Traxx and I just put in all of the DIY window coverings that I made for this car custom. So if you could see here, completely covered. And you see there's that little peek through that I was talking about before. If you just shimmy that extra piece of tape in there, that I put at the end, it just covers all that up. So that's why I did that, because it wasn't going to be perfectly cut, but if I put an extra flimsy piece of fabric on there, or tape in this case, we can actually just tuck it in to the crevices of the window. So that ended up working. It is completely dark in here. I have the dome light on right now. Let me see if I can turn that off. But you can also see up there the sunshade. I do have it tacked on the tops with a little 1/4-inch piece of Velcro, so they are staying up that way. And I also tacked the sides. But let me close the dome light. And this is how dark it kind of is. It's a little lighter up here because the sunshade's not blackout, but back here it's completely dark. I am also going to do the setup for the curtain systems because, like I said, I don't want to just be staring at black. Or the black's not even bad. It's honestly the shiny reflective. If I ever need to keep heat in, I'm gonna switch these around so that the reflective is inside, and I don't want to stare at that. So let's take a look at that.
So this is where I got overly ambitious. I wanted to create this peek through in all of my curtains, but it got overly complicated and I quickly lost interest. Story of my life.